All right, we are live. NDI November. What a month it's been. This is our 11th of 12 shows. Today I'm really excited. We have a good friend of ours, Tony Luizzi, who actually is a customer of ours. I think you bought your first Tricaster from us, or maybe it was your second,
Yep.
but we'll go into that story.
Yeah.
So Tony, before we even go into we booked you for this show because you saw the NDI November press releases
Right.
and stuff we were doing and said, hey, I want to be on the show. And that was awesome. But between the time that we said, great, you're going to be on the show, and you being on the show, something
Yep.
even more awesomer happened. Can you tell us what that was?
Yeah. Well, between then and today, I was, I got the award for Director of the Year under Education, and and it was a surprise.
Now, what we're talking about is the New Tech TriCaster Director
Yeah.
of the Year Award for Education. Why don't you tell us briefly, how did you did someone nominate you? Did you nominate yourself? How did that even happen?
You sign up over at newtech.com, and you have to fill out information for them, and then you create a demo reel. And I just sent the demo reel in, and I just watched it the other day, and it was pretty funny because they interviewed a couple of the winners, and I was like, wow, they didn't get in touch with me. So I'm like, oh, I didn't win. So we're watching because my wife was home. She wasn't feeling well. And then all of a sudden, they announced it. We jumped like two little kids. We were so surprised. So, yeah, here's some of the samples from the demo I sent in.
Awesome stuff.
Where we use, we use comps exclusively on so many of the shows to manipulate the screen, bringing presenters on and off. I try to direct it like a TV show.
Yeah. No.
And we say it's not a virtual call, really.
So let's jump into what products you're using to help drive your productions. Now, I'd like you to really start with what was the first product you purchased from us way back when? It had to be 5+ years ago, correct?
Well, you know what? I bought a used 460, and I bought an upgrade to AE3 Advanced Edition 3. Then I got the TC1 with the extra I/O. Yep. And that turned in when the pandemic hit, everything shut down. I brought that system into my den and started working with Skype because Skype had NDI.
Yes.
And I worked with a good buddy of mine, Larry Testa from Medifix,
yep.
who we worked with on quite a few medical projects. And we were supposed to, in March of 23, we were sort of shut down. And in April, we were supposed to go to Philadelphia with the TriCaster to do a case study program, a continuing medical education. Well, long story short, we were able to duplicate what we would do at the location virtually on the TriCaster, and we started recording. And now we've moved, obviously, to doing live and records. And I'll be honest with you, we've probably done over 200 shows.
That's amazing. And I think you were using the talk show technology back then, which was what was integrating Skype with New Tech. Now, the whole industry's come so far, but when you think about when the world shut down, and Dr. Cross used to be the head of New Tech.
Sure.
We had him on our second annual NDI November as our keynote speaker, and he opened up by saying, with this pandemic, what's happened is adoption has leapt ahead 5 years, and now it's up to me, speaking as Andrew Cross, to get the technology to catch up to where the people are adopting it and using it. I think we're getting there now with some of the technologies you'll see that we've been using, this month for our shows and the stuff you're using. So I just want to keep jumping in because NDI, I don't think we could have I don't think we would have been able to produce what I'm going to call broadcast level video productions without NDI during the epidemic. Would you agree with that?
100%. 100%, because it gave us connection capabilities that would have been very difficult. You probably could have pulled it off, but not as easy, I guess, in a sense, as what NDI has provided us. It really is just an amazing technology.
Or we would have made less complex, less value add, less production value productions just to get stuff up. I mean, I can remember, and I think I laughed with you because you had called us on the phone, that we being the people like us, we were producing video content that blew away what you were seeing on late night TV or sports programs during the epidemic. They would just, give some guy a webcam from his laptop with an open open window behind him, not even realizing how to light the damn thing. And it was just amazing how, video production quality went out the window. It was just get the show on the air. And I was like, we're producing stuff that's as good or better. We were using things like Skype and Zoom and whatever we could to make it all work together. So kudos to you, man. Kudos to you. So the next thing I think we want to talk about is...
You know what I wanted to tell you? You know what the real glue is into doing the shows besides NDI is having an intercom system.
Yeah.
And that intercom system allows us to talk to the presenters like they have an IFB in their ear, and it doesn't go over obviously the master.
So what comm system are you using when you're
Unity intercom?
Cool.
Yeah, and it has been amazing because we have people in Pennsylvania who are on producing, and New Jersey. And so we can and I can actually send a feed out through SRT. I could probably now send it through Bridge, but at that time, once again, you're talking about when the pandemic happened, we used SRT to send the feed out to the producers. So.
Yeah, and now, I think with comms, you're talking to the talent, you're talking to the camera people, you're talking to other people in the production who could be doing graphics or slow motion, instant replay if you're doing sports, correct?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Everything can be communicated through comms, and it's just amazing. We have two systems that we have running, and we can all talk to each other even between systems if we have to. But it works great. Oh, this is actually a car concert. This graphic for Lords of 52nd Street.
Oh, very cool. And I see there's a bird dog camera there. 21.
Yeah, we had 2 bird dog cameras. Two hard cameras and a couple of fixed cameras, and those guys loved it. We got rained out about 30 minutes in, but it was awesome.
Now, talk about this a little bit. You actually brought your whole Tricaster system to the venue?
Yes, on that one we did. Yeah, because this was back in 21. So we did not have, we were asked to come to the venue and feed the screens on the stage, but there was also a screen next to the stage, and that obviously those bird dogs are connected through NDI. They work great. We had 3 of them up on, 2 on flanking each side of the stage, so it was great. Worked great. Yeah, my son does robotics. He can switch the shows he does some virtual productions with me, and he can set up the Tricaster, and he helps do port forwarding and all that, stuff that we need to do to connect up.
Well, I will tell you that port forwarding and that stuff's a lot easier with one of these new Netgear switches. I don't know if you've had the chance to play with them, but they really become optimized for NDI. It makes it a whole lot simpler.
Oh my gosh. And that's another piece between Unity and Netgear. And it's funny, I said to my son, I wish somebody would make a switch that would go, make it just the connection a lot easier. And Netgear did it. I was telling Derek, who actually is my tech support, and I think he's in California. He didn't even realize. I said, you don't realize what you guys have just done. I said, get ready.
It's our number one solution for NDI workflow. Someone runs a problem, we talk to them on the phone, and we finally get them to go through the stuff. You got to let people talk through it. And then we go, what switch you use? And we go, listen, it's going to cost you money. If you get this switch, you'll never have this problem again. And when you add new stuff, you won't break it every time like you do with a traditional managed switch, which you're not breaking it on purpose, but there's a level of IT that's needed to run a managed switch. Just takes it all away. But I want to jump. It was great to walk down. I want to jump to this thing you did in Canada, because this was incredible. Tell us about this, because this was in Montreal and Toronto. You kind of linked the whole country together.
Oh my gosh, this was our first hybrid event, and it's called an advisory board for a medical conference. It wasn't even a conference, just an advisory board. So they said they didn't want to bring everybody together in one room. So we had Montreal and Toronto. We had one HC500 in Toronto, one HC500 in Montreal. We also had 2 fixed cameras hooked up to Killaview, all SRT back to the Tricaster. And then in turn, we have another piece of software that makes it into an NDI signal.
Nice.
I mean, and the audio was great. My son was he was in Toronto or Montreal, and that day, the host who was going to host the program, he picked up COVID, which meant we had to bring him in on Zoom. And once again, because of NDI and the TC2, the TriCaster, it wasn't a leap to do.
Now, I really want to dig into this because to me, streaming an event to people who aren't in the place and aren't participating is easy. We know how to do that. Streaming an event
Yeah.
to the people who are in the place so that they can see different things, content on screens and stuff like that for the audience, not so tough. We've done that. Houses of Worship have been doing that even before the epidemic. These hybrid events where I'm having people in the room, people in another room, I'm having people outside who are watching the stream, and like you said, bringing in someone in who was ill, from maybe their home or something. That hybrid event is a level of complexity that I've always found. That to me is what separates good from great when it comes to these live productions. And I know you figured this out, not because the technology was easy,
Yeah.
because you're just damn good at what you do. Talk a little bit about some of
Yeah.
the complexity in doing this. You've oversimplified it, my friend.
Well, yeah, absolutely. The audio is really what gets complex here. And having my son in the field, because he's an electronic music producer,
Cool.
so he knows audio, he knows Zoom, and he was able to work with the AV people in the room, because it is a bigger challenge for the AV people to understand that we're only going to send them Zoom from the TriCaster, and you'll do the full mix in the room. And both cities obviously sent me audio,
Yep.
which only goes to the web, and they don't need to use my audio. They only need to use my Zoom audio. So that's a mix minus. You're minusing out the program of the live people and just giving them the Zoom, which they don't have, until I force it to them.
You said the magic word. I brought this up throughout NDI November, and it was great because if you saw our keynotes, one of the conversations I had with the is audio is so important to video. And I think, I can't watch a video stream or video program when the audio's messed up. I can watch pixelated faces. I can watch people jerking. I can watch lip syncing like it looks like an old Godzilla movie. But man, when the audio's bad, I got big problems. And I got to tell you, I think we're finally with NDI 5.5 starting to address audio through that NDI layer where we can bring in like Dante and Crestron and other stuff into the mix, into the room to make it that much more powerful. So I'm really confident that over the next year, 2023, I think you're going to see some really cool audio stuff coming out that's audio via NDI in order to make these workflows, a lot easier to understand. Because what you pulled off there, to me, I was just like, when you were telling me about this program, I was like, how did he even do this? Because we try to bring in two guests from two different places. And 9 out of 10 times we think we have the audio perfect. And then the day of the show happens, and then the audio's not where we left it. It's the most frustrating, I would say it's the most frustrating, challenging element of live streaming with a hybrid event is the audio by far. You nailed it. And the job you did was so great. Everyone, from what I understand, everyone could dialogue as if we were in the room together. It was very comfortable. No one felt awkward, and the stream was beautiful.
Yeah. And I did a second show in, it was Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And there were doctors who were not able to make it to the event. And we did, actually, instead of being located in here on Long Island, I actually went to Jackson Hole on that one. And once again, that worked great too. And I was there, and it's all about getting that audio correct.
So the next segment of the show is, what are you looking for in the future? I think we dabbled with the audio a little bit, but let's talk about some other things in an NDI video production world where you think things are going. Because I like talking to the vendor people about that, but I really want to hear from you, because for you, it's more a wish list. This is the things I need to do my job, to do things, to deliver better content. So I'm really excited to hear what you have to say in this area.
Well, I had the three, our polling questions. One of the things I'd like to see is, integrating PowerPoint as a native NDI signal. Having New Tech build a plugin. I would love to have them build a plugin along with a telestrator function. There is a company that we use called Internet Clicker that allows you to put a clicker on your phone. They do allow you to use a mouse on the screen. You can't draw, but you can just use your mouse. I'd love to see that because I just brought that out in March of this year in Tampa for the doctors, and we did it at the location in Tampa. They were just like kids in a candy store because they've never seen it at that level. They've seen it on TV, but they've never used one. Every single one of them just was like, this is awesome. Telestrator for exactly medical production, anything that has information that you need to focus the viewer. And that's what I'm big on. I always try to sit in the viewer's seat.
Absolutely.
So that was one thing. The other thing would be, continuing to develop products that would make it easier to connect. I think, just making it easier to connect things, making sure that things are in sync.
Yep.
That's really a key. Things that won't drift. Audio doesn't drift and things. So.
We got a question from the audience of any suggestion for houses of worship, and then we happen to have a case study you're going to talk about, which is the Merrick Jewish Center.
Yeah, sure.
So let's pull that all together and talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Yeah, so we were at the Merrick Jewish Center for 2 years at the location with the Tricaster, the TC1, 3 Bird Dog cameras, and they loved it. And we actually came back there a 4th time. The rabbi had retired, and we did an event there. And then all of a sudden, in the middle of this year, was over the summer, my buddy came to me and said, hey, they want to have you guys still switch the shows, but they don't want you at the location. Mm-hmm. They don't want the cables. They don't want our personnel there. And so that's when we started to experiment with Bridge and working with Jake over at Bird Dog. And we did a test. Not at the location. That's our next phase. But we did a test with 3 Bird Dog cameras, feeding audio into a Bird Dog camera, got it here, ran it about an hour and a half, and everything was, and that's, that's all, everything's in sync. That's what it comes down to. Will it stay in sync over an hour and a half? And it was great. And so now our next step is we're going to go to the Merrick Jewish Center with a Netgear switch, the 4250, and plug in 3 cameras and take their audio and do another test. And
awesome.
I feel very confident. It's a matter of them having enough bandwidth, which I think they already do. So
your business model could become streaming as a service, where you would produce the stream as a service to your customers. On site, you would put some PTZ cameras in there, but you would be no one would see you. You'd be really in the background.
Switching remotely.
Very cool. And then
that is what, Gary, just to finish that up, that's the next education piece for us, is to educate our clients to understand you may not need the control room at the venue.
Right. You need the glass, you need the optics, you need the cameras, you need the audio. You give us good audio, you give us good pictures, we could do the rest, right? And it's not a cloud, it's a remote production, but it could be in the cloud. It could be in your office in Long Island. It could be anywhere.
I know. I couldn't believe we were controlling PTZ cameras remotely and getting audio and video. That's just an amazing feat by NDI Bridge.
Cool. Let's talk about what you got going on with the folks over at Northwell Health, because that's pretty cool too. And medical, I think, is a huge opportunity for streaming that I think is we're barely touching the surface with that.
Yeah. So this was really interesting. We were on a Teams call talking about 2023, and I had my Tricaster up because I had tried to show them that what I could do with the Tricaster for their quote unquote provider update for Zoom calls. And I popped it in. I just replaced my camera with the Tricaster through NDI, and I started moving the avatars around. And she was like, whoa, what's that? And I said, well, that's my Tricaster. I said, I've been doing medical shows for literally 2 plus years. I think it would really benefit the provider update if we could maybe go and make it I call it provider update 2.0. And she was like, yeah, this looks good. I'm going to talk to my, my other people on the team. They did. And we've done 2 events. I used to do is I used to take their Zoom call and clean it up. And I mentioned to them, I said, I'm actually going to save you money because a lot of the editing that I do previously to using the Tricaster, I'd have to clean up the Zoom call for its clunkiness.
Yep.
So yeah, they were amazed, and I'm hoping that we can do more of that. I've done a couple of small little records with other departments, but this was the marketing department, and I'm hoping they see the value. I know they do.
I also think you hit the nail on a workflow that's really emerged through COVID, but it's actually a superior workflow, which is shoot the thing live. Think about what you're doing when you shoot live, knowing you're going to post-produce. You're going to create a highlight clip. You're going to create a best of clip. You're going to isolate certain sections and do 30-second and 1 minutes for social media and repurpose that content. And I think that's one of the things that I think has become crucial to not just corporate marketing, but getting your message across a content delivery. It's repurposing. It's not the 20-minute show we're doing now as much as the sound bites we're going to use, the other things we're going to put on our social media and stuff that's going to help us with our brand, help the NDI November brand, but it's going to help you too. But I'm saying when you're doing something for Northwell, you're doing something for Canada, what have you, that's the real importance of this workflow. It's really changed. And I agree with you that we're getting that tighter and tighter to the point where, you're going to be able to go right from the show. And actually, I think we'll be editing the show while the show is going on at some point. And I know there are some workflows that are starting to unlock that already.
Yep. No, definitely. And they, like I said, they really appreciate the way we do it.
All right, Tony, I had a bet that we could bring this show under a half hour or not. It was an over-under with our production team. We may be able to bring it under. We may be bringing it over. It's really going to be up to you now because I want to talk again about that you were the Tricaster Director of the Year Award for Education. Congratulations on that, buddy. I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of your team and the stuff you're doing. But anyone who watches this show can see and hear that you're pushing the envelope on this technology. And that's what's wonderful and that's what's great. So whenever I finish a show and I have a guest on, I always say, Tony, the floor is yours. Give us the last couple of minutes, your last few thoughts of this whole thing, and we'll wrap it up, and then I'll go into my NDI November wrap-up spiel.
Yeah, no, I just appreciate being on, Gary. This has really been a lot of fun. So thanks to your team and how we were able to, tie this together with the Education Award. The one thing that I can say about this whole COVID event is the system that we built, and I say we, even though I started with my producing partner, Larry Testa, we were able to bring a lot of people back to work.
Yep.
And that is very satisfying to me because my wife had seen how many hours we had spent trying to perfect this system to make it pain-free for the presenter and also the agencies we work with. And so that's the beauty of NDI. It helped remove the pain point of doing virtual. And you don't realize it. We almost take, we even said it, we take some of this for granted, all this technology. I've got 1 gigabyte FiOS here. So it's just amazing. All the technologies that have to glue together to make it happen. And there's no playbook. We always said that to a lot of the people. You can build a control room, but a virtual control room, there really was no playbook.
There's no playbook and there's no do-overs on a live event, right? They're not going to replay the sporting match. They're not going to get married again because you missed the feed. So it's a lot of pressure, and I know what that pressure is like because we do our live shows all the time. Thank you so much for being on the show. Long-time customer, long-time friend of the company. NDI November, when you said you want to participate, I thought it was the greatest thing in the world. But I want to give a little plug to your company, digitalvideodynamics.com. You really provide video streaming and live production services all over the country and even Canada. Long Island-based guy, great guy. Give him a call. And if you're a helpful dude, too, so if someone wanted to reach out to you, had some questions about something they were working on, you'd be willing to help them, too, right?
Absolutely. I mean, the Facebook groups on Facebook are amazing. There are people who are a lot smarter than me in this game right now, and I learn from them too.
I find it's a community of people who share, and that's the coolest thing. And the one thing I've learned is you might be the first person to have a problem in a live production of whatever technology you're using, but you're not the last or only ever. And we were joking with our team as we were putting this whole production thing, and you'll appreciate it, is the industry's come so far in fixing a lot of things and taking things better. But it seems like sometimes there's those core little things like audio that we would love to see simplified and made better, that sometimes they actually will make worse before they make better with the technology and the solutions they give. So we're finding that you really have to be a jack of all technologies. You can't, well, we love NDI and it's great. You can't go all in. You have to keep your eye on SRT and cloud and other people's products and stuff, because eventually you're going to get hit with a promotion where a production where you're going to have to bring all this stuff together. And that's why you got to be constantly doing research on the Facebook, trying new things on your shows, have the courage to give something a shot when a client suggests something. Try doing it. Tony, it was great to have you on the show. Thank you so much. NDI November. Want to remind everyone, if we can bring this up full page, we've done 11 of 12 shows so far. We've had a ton of great guests. All this content is available on our YouTube page for you to watch. And more importantly, register now at ndinovember.com. It's not too late, because you can win valuable prizes. Everyone who registers will get the unofficial guide to NDI in digital form. Plus, we've got PTZ cameras, we've got some software, we've got some training, all kinds of good stuff available. The show and the week is not over. This Tuesday at 3 o'clock, we'll be doing the breaking from NDI November, because we're going to do Black Friday stuff. But next Tuesday, we're going to finish up with Dan Malley from Bird Dog, who's going to talk about taking NDI to the cloud. Folks, this is Gary from Video Guys. Remember to register at ndinovember.com. As long as the calendar says November, you can still register. This is Gary. Thank you so much, guys. NDI November. Peace out.
NDI November is going on all month long for all things NDI. Your one-time registration gains you access to all the informative webinars with great guests and tons of giveaways. Check out the full schedule and register at ndinovember.com. Giveaway prizes include Bird Dog P100, JVC PZ200N camera, Telestream Wirecast Pro license, New Tech University class, and more. See all the giveaway prizes and register now at ndinovember.com.